Good morning, Jonathan.
Hey, good morning, all.
How are you?
I'm pretty good this morning.
Awesome.
Hoping everyone is same as good.
For sure, yeah. Obviously, it's morning time for us here in Thunder Bay. Of course, our viewers could be joining in the afternoon, in the evening, all sorts of things. So we want to thank you for joining us and listening in on our conversation today. First off, I'll introduce myself and then I'll pass it over to you. So those of you who haven't joined before, my name is Jordan. I am the International New and Social Media Officer here at Lakehead University. I work on the Thunder Bay campus. I'm born and raised from Thunder Bay. But I'll pass it over to Jonathan to introduce himself.
Well, as Jordan introduced, my name is Jonathan Diaz. I'm from Mexico. I'm studying here in Lakehead at the program in Biotechnology, a Ph.D. So far, I've been living here 2 years, almost 2 years. Um, yeah, and I was born in Chihuahua, in the state of like the dog, and the northern state of Mexico.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to learn more about your journey to Lakehead and obviously your experience thus far. I know that you've done some pretty cool things. You've been on the soccer team here at Lakehead. I know that you're involved in some really cool research that's really relevant to the times right now too. Um, but to help our viewers get to know you, I always like to ask a question like a fun fact about yourself. But I think a more telling fact right now is what has kept you busy during your social distancing during this time?
Well, I really like to be outdoors, and here Thunder Bay is a great place to be outside. Now, with this all this thing about the social distancing, and unfortunately, we can't go to campus right now, and I can go to the lab right now. So I just learned to fishing. I had my first fishing experiences in the past 2 weeks by myself, right? I have fishing in the past with but with people who already know how all it works.
For sure.
Uh,
So
so
was that
yeah,
your first time at all fishing in Canada or first time
it
alone?
was my first time at all fishing here in Canada.
Okay. But
I
you've
fished,
fished back home in Mexico, I'm assuming.
yeah, like a couple of times, not that many. So I
Okay.
I didn't have like I just have the general idea of how to do
Mm-hmm.
fishing. But here I went to a store where they are both hunting and fishing, a
Mm-hmm.
local store, and they were really helpful, and they
Awesome.
just
So they
taught me
got you set up with all the
basics.
gear and whatnot to get you started
Exactly.
and get out onto the water at least. So where do you
Yeah.
typically go fishing in the Thunder Bay area?
So there is a river who across the city. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember the name. Help me
It's
with that,
the
George.
McIntyre River.
The McIntyre River. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a river, but basically it's inside the city. Uh, it's actually nearby the mall that we have in the city and
Mm-hmm.
the cinema. So it's like you're going to the cinema, but instead of just turn to the left and just park side the river and throw your fishing rod.
For sure, yeah. So then moving into some of our more structured questions, something I always like to ask our special guests or our Thunderwolves is kind of thinking back a couple of years ago when you're deciding whether you wanted to study abroad, what program you wanted to study, all that sort of stuff. Um, I mean, the first main topic is what helped you decide to study in Canada?
Well, I believe at first I was living in Vancouver before moving here. I lived in
Mhm.
Vancouver for about 7 to 8 months. I went there to study in English. Then that was my first Canadian experience. I was completely in love with the country. I like everything about the country. I like how the society it is here, how like everything basically. Then of course I knew it at that time that the quality of the Canadian education was high, like let's say top five of the world,
Mhm.
right? Even more if you go up in the in the ranks, like research and grad studies. Uh, that those two things were the main things to that make me decide to move in here. And other thing is the similarities between here and Mexico are not that big if we compare with other continents, or
Sure.
like let's say Europe or Asia. They're more different than Mexico, than Canada and Mexico are, right?
And of course, the physical distance between Thunder
Yeah,
Bay
for
or
sure.
Aurelia and Mexico itself.
Yeah, there is a direct flight from Toronto to Mexico City, and it's about 4 hours. So
For sure.
basically, it's really close. Even if I wanted, I could go driving like 35 hours nonstop.
Yeah,
Uh,
we chatted about that, and I said that would be a
yeah,
pretty aggressive drive if you wanted to do it in a couple days. But it's certainly possible in your case to.
exactly. It's
Uh,
certainly possible. Let's say if there's an emergency, I cannot find any kind of flight. Let's say I just take the car and go
for
down.
sure. Yeah.
down. So yeah.
And then, kind of, once you've narrowed it down to Canada, help me understand how you were able to narrow it down to Lakehead at that point.
Well, one very specific event was I met one of the Lakehead recruiter, uh, Ph.D, who is based in Mexico,
Hmm.
and he went at that kind of these Edu Canada fairs where they have many different universities offering different programs. Right there, I met him in Chihuahua, and of course, I asked him question. I was looking specifically for a PhD program, so it's not that easy because not all the university has that kind of programs. And he said to me, "Look, we have these kind of programs, and also we have an agreement with the Mexican government, specifically with CONACYT. CONACYT is the Mexican council that helps to funding science in Mexico.
For sure.
So Lakehead and CONACYT has this agreement that can help me to pay my tuition, right, in a way of a scholarship. So that was great because now with that agreement, it will much easier to me to apply for the scholarship. It was a big advantage over other universities, even bigger universities that didn't have that agreement.
For sure. So obviously that helped you narrow it down. And then help me understand also what made you want to select biotechnology or that program within Lakehead? Was it anyone specific at Lakehead? Was there any other factors that played into that?
Yeah, once I looked for Lakehead, okay, I told myself, next step is to look for the adequate program and a supervisor. In order to get a PhD acceptance or even a master acceptance in some programs, you need the approval of a supervisor that will guide yourself through the program, right? So I look for a supervisor who has similar kind of activities or topics, research topics that I could be interested in or that could match with my experience. Then I find my supervisor, Dr. Petran Fatehi. He is working or have been working with wood materials. So basically, they transform wood materials, bioproducts, wastes from the wood industry to make new biomaterials, green materials, biodegradable, eco-friendly,
Hmm.
and so on.
For sure. I
So
know we're gonna dive into the idea behind the research and kind of what you've been involved in the academic itself very soon here. But sorry, I interrupted. What else were you
yeah,
looking
no,
for?
and that was it basically. When I looked for that for the profile of my supervisor, I sent an email to him. A very articulated email where I say to him, okay, uh, this is who I am, this is what I've been doing, and this is what I want to do with you if
Hmm.
you accept me, right? So he kindly say yes to my application, and then from there it was just the paperwork.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to know that you got connected with your supervisor easily, and that you guys kind of had aligned research areas, or at least passions that lie within those research areas. Um, and then speaking about kind of once you've made that decision to join Lakehead, and then you're leading up to it. So a couple weeks out, I'm sure you're probably having maybe your big family parties to say goodbye. You're hanging out with your last couple friends there. Walk me through what that felt like emotions wise. Like, what were you excited for? What were you nervous about?
Of course, I was really excited about it. Basically, because I was achieving one of my goals, right? One of my professional goals, that it was to get a PhD, and what to get a PhD in Canada. That was I was looking for let's say for the past 2 years at that point. Um, I wasn't that how can I say worry about the just the sense of moving to Canada, because I had the experience in Canada before.
For
For
sure.
certain, Thunderwolf is different Toronto, than Vancouver, pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
And first, it's different in weather, right? So people will say that Vancouver isn't it the Canadian weather in reality, right? It's the less Canadian weather city in Canada, maybe. Um, and then I was a little bit worried about the weather, especially of winter.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, you read and you learn about the city before you arrive,
For
and you
sure.
discover that we have really we have cold winters, right? But people live in there, so must be a way that they pass through winter. Yeah, that was maybe my really thoughts of being worried the weather.
For sure. And obviously, I know you mentioned you were excited to make the move back to Canada since you had already been there. You had mentioned that you were there for 7 to 8 months, though, and
Yeah,
obviously, in this stage of the journey, it was going to be an extended period, so you could kind of immerse yourself even further into the Canadian culture and
yeah,
the city there.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
instead of 7 months, it will be 4 years, right? Because the PhD program is 4 years length at
Mm-hmm.
least. So it's basically you just join a new city to live there, like to merge with the city, to learn the culture, and at some point you will be part of the city.
For sure. And then speaking a bit about your nerves with regards to the weather and winter and whatnot, what's your favorite aspect of winter in Thunder Bay, and like how do you stay active? How do you get outdoors, and what do you enjoy most?
Yeah, if you maybe if you're thinking winter and it's snowing, your first thought are, oh my God, I will be inside the house the entire period, right? The entire season. And it is not, especially here in Thunder Bay. There are so many activities outdoors that you can do outdoors, like skiing, let's say downhill skiing, cross country skiing, snowshoeing, snow bicycle, um, fishing, even ice fishing. There's tons of activity that you can do on winter. Personally, I really like cross country skiing. Uh, my first time when I tried cross country skiing was here in my first year,
Hmm.
and I absolutely love it. It's really cool. It's amazing to uh, a feeling of like alive during winter. You take fresh air, you exercise yourself. So I believe we have a unique opportunity here in Punta Bay that you can just drive 15 minutes away to city, 10 minutes away to city, and you are in such a place where you can practice those kind of sports.
For sure, yeah. And I know that most of our students that come from international locations aren't necessarily familiar or even used to these winter sports, but then once they arrive and get to try them, they realize that it's just another way to kind of get involved, get active, stay outside. And like you said, I really like your note about if you have the perception that you're going to be stuck inside all winter, it's not true. You can definitely get out there and you can be involved, and obviously the ease of access to all these amenities. So whether you want to go cross country skiing, whether you want to go downhill skiing, or many other things, of course, they're kind of right at your doorstep. And even on campus too. I know that
Oh yeah,
during our
even
winter fest, I forget, or frost week, pardon me, it was our winter orientation. They had snowshoeing on campus. And I know that some of our students went, and one of my coworkers went to get footage of that to take video recordings to see just how awesome that experience was for the very first time for some students.
yeah. Well, speaking about the campus, we can even skiing, pardon me, skate, ice skating in campus in Lakehead, right?
Mhm.
So you just have to walk outside your room, put your skates, and go skating.
For sure. And I believe, do you have a photo of yourself doing cross-country skiing to show the audience?
Yes, I do have one. Let me look for that
Awesome.
one. So I will just turn my camera. Yeah, that is me doing cross-country skiing.
Awesome. And so who did you go
Unfortunately,
with that day?
I here I actually I actually went here with the some group from my faculty.
Okay.
They organized a trip from Lakehead to from the campus to a place named Campview, where you
Hmm.
can go there. You can, if you don't have a skis, obviously because you are just a newcomer, you can rent the skis there. You can rent all the equipment necessary there, and we just pay like $15 for per the whole day.
For sure. Yeah. And so that must have been a really fun opportunity for you. And obviously you said it was arranged by your faculty. So you're a part of science and environmental studies, correct?
Yes, that's my faculty.
And so out of curiosity, was it Brenda who helped organize that event?
Was Brenda? Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, it was Brenda. Brenda is wonderful organizing those things, and she was so passionate about it that she just shared with me that passion of cross country skiing.
For
Yeah,
sure.
Brenda
Yeah, I
Pajak.
know lots of our students. For those of you who don't know, Brenda is the Ph.D. coordinator as well as the international student coordinator. So she actually helps organize events within the Faculty of Science and Environmental Studies. That is just one example of one event that she's organized. Um, but I've seen some photos from them, and they typically have some pretty good turnout. And she's always looking for new ideas, and I know that she always likes to hear from her current students kind of what they want to do. So then she's happy to organize and kind of connect international students within the faculty itself. So it's definitely great to see when obviously we hear about those positive experiences.
Yeah, of course, and other reason that go on those kind of activities is you will meet people, and you probably will make friends, right? Because you are not the only one going outside to do skiing or to do whatever you are doing during winter. You will be amazed of how many people could be in that place at that moment, just enjoying the winter, enjoying that amount of snow. And
For
after
sure.
that, and make friends of skiing buddies, skating buddies. You know,
Of course.
it's,
So we just
it's the
received a
greatest.
question. A student would like to know when they'll get an admission decision for their application. So for anyone who's looking to connect with our admissions officers and get more clarity on their application, the first thing I would suggest is actually if you go into your My Info account on your applicant tab, you can see the current status of your application. So for example, it could say complete, which means that we've received all of your documents. And we're in the process of reviewing it for admissibility. If it says incomplete, though, that means that we're missing documents that we need to complete your application and then assess it. If you have an incomplete application, for example, you can actually go to the tab that says My Documents or Missing Documents, one of the two of those, and you'll see exactly which documents you still need to submit for your admission decision. If you are sitting at complete and you're waiting to hear back and it's been a longer time, you can certainly connect directly with our admissions team. So for our undergraduate studies, for students pursuing undergraduate studies, you can send an email to our admissions officers at intl period admission at lakeheadu.ca. And for students pursuing graduate studies, so that's master's, PhD, all that sort of stuff, you can email gstudent at lakeheadu.ca. If you would like, you can also send us a direct message on our Lakehead International Instagram, and we'd be happy to send you the same information, same contact info, and connect you like that. If any of our other viewers have questions, of course, you can submit those using the comments or the question box, and myself or Jonathan would be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I think we'll move on to the academic section. So academics are obviously a significant part of your Lakehead experience. the reason you're here, basically. Um, so looking back many years ago, can you kind of walk us through how you ended up picking your program for biotechnology?
Yeah. Well, not that many, but yeah, back so some years. Well, my background, my bachelor is in chemistry, and I have my master. I did my master in food science, so food science and biopolymers, polymers from natural origin. So with that background, I was able to join the biotechnology program, which basically is the mixture of the link between chemistry and biological sciences, right? Depending of your specific project. In my case, it's wood sciences or vegetable sciences, let's say starch or cellulose, which are polymer from this origin that made plants and made the structure of food and made the structure of different vegetable cells. From there, you join with the technology of chemistry to do reactions and be able to transform those polymers, those compounds, to make new polymers and new compounds to replace the oil-based compounds. Say instead of having just a plastic that it won't degrade in 500 years, you can have a plastic, a bioplastic that could be degradable in 2 years or a year and a half by the action of microorganisms, bacteria, etc. Right? So that's basically how my background works with the biotechnology program and what we're doing in a wide picture.
For sure. And then speaking about another thing I know you mentioned with me previously is kind of your supervisor and connecting with them helped you narrow down the program and be more confident in your decision. So could you speak to some of your favorite aspects of the supervisor you have?
Absolutely. Supervisor for grad students is key, right? Because he's the leader of the research. He's the leader of your project. Even you're the main author of your project, of your thesis project. He will help you to lead to having a good result. So it's very necessary that you have a supervisor who is experienced, let's say, and who really knows how to bring funds to your project, right? Because this is science, and science need money to do experiments, to buy materials, to rent. Let's say you need to fly from here to present your to Toronto to present your work in a conference, right? So you need money to all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs to be able to get those funds. Of course, he needs to be in the best. I won't say mood, but in the best way to cooperate with you, right? So it's a teamwork.
Yeah.
He is your supervisor, but at the same time, you work with him and he works with you. Let's say at the same level at some point.
Of
And
course.
so yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Pedro he has been just great in leading my thesis.
That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that he's been able to help you kind of uh, navigate securing resources and obviously already as it is provide you the opportunity to work within his lab. And I know that his lab is a part of the new cases building, which is brand
Yes,
new. So I know that the technology that was involved in that development within that building itself is very high tech. So it's great to hear.
yeah, that's right. The Green Processor Research Center, the lab which I'm part of, probably uh, is the best lab in the area in this northern Ontario region for sure. It's a brand new with all the instruments and all the equipment necessary to compete against countries like Finland or countries like United Kingdom, who are the top, like Netherlands, who are the top of the world in this area, right, in the wood science. So
For
for
sure.
sure, we are at the same level of that, the best around the world.
Awesome. And then also speaking about diving into the program a bit more and just looking at uh, what you like most about the program. So if you could walk us through that and give us a preview.
Well, I like the most about the problem that we can join, as I said before, we can join the biological sciences with the chemistry to create new technology that will help society in general. Will have not an immediate impact, but like very important, like a significant impact in the life of many people, right? Like just imagine that instead of having that plastic in your water bottle, you can have a plastic that can be degraded by, by bacteria. And not even that, you can use wastes from other industries.
For sure.
So you are adding a value to that industry and helping that industry to develop better, right?
Of
Like here in
course.
Thunder Bay, we have the wood industry, paper and pulp industry is big. So we want to help that industry to continue growing, not necessarily working in paper, but
Hmm.
using another part of the wood, right?
Of
I
course,
believe
yeah.
that's the part that I like the most about the program.
And I think
And
I really like your note about the fact that being centrally located in Thunder Bay in your case, and the fact that the pulp and paper industry within the Thunder Bay area, Northwestern Ontario, is quite significant for our economy. But obviously, these companies are under immense pressure to become more eco-friendly and more uh, kind of lessen their impact and their footprint. And so the research that you're completing right now with their byproducts and their waste products is going to be crucial to their success in meeting some of these goals that are set out for them.
yeah, no, absolutely. And the other thing that I really want to uh, tell to all the audience is here. One of the best part of being here for me is that I have access to all the instruments, to all the equipment that I need. The university, we have all the necessary instruments um, that you can eventually use for your research. It doesn't matter if you are biotechnology or material sciences or geology or even psychology. You have all the necessary instruments and
I think
equipment that
I think you summed it up
help
pretty
you.
well because I definitely agree. I mean, I've done countless number of these lives with our students from a variety of different programs, and time again, I always ask them. This is my next question too: is kind of what research they've been involved in within their program, and they always speak so highly about the opportunities that they have and the access to these opportunities and the access to really advanced laboratories or equipment. So that's like a good segue in for. Could you kind of elaborate on the research that you're currently completing within your PhD?
Yeah, just before that, Jordan, I like to address. We have this award for the university, right? For undergrad research access. Like being a small university, allow you to have direct contact with the researchers more than if a big university where you never will be able to see that researcher like meet to meet personally, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a great opportunity to get involved in your early stage of your career in research, like in real research with PhD students and with the or master students and the supervisor.
For sure, yeah. And I know the award you're talking about is the fact that Lakehead University has been recognized for the fifth consecutive year as the number one undergraduate research university in Canada. And that's something that we obviously are very proud about. And I know that it's, some of the main people at Lakehead, our senior management team, kind of have really doubled down and focused at keeping that and continuing to offer so many diverse research opportunities for all students, not just undergrad. Obviously, we've been significantly recognized for that effort, but obviously, you're here to talk about the doctoral level and the research that you're doing as well.
Yeah. So talking about my research, I work with a wood compound called lignin. So do you think in cellulose, that is uh, probably better known than lignin, you use cellulose from wood to make paper, right? When you make paper, you discharge the lignin, and it's just a waste for most industries. So my research is thinking in the way to, okay, what if we use that lignin and we try to get the price level or the value of those components at the same level, not having any waste. So what we do is we take that lignin, we modify that lignin in order to create a new material. In my case specifically, the material will be for the treatment of wastewater. So it could be a material who will be able to cut and to link some um, contaminants, like let's say some pollutant from the mining industry or
Hmm.
pollutant from the other industry, right? Textile industry, dyes, etc. So you have the big advantage that you are using a natural based material. Will help you to do that job, to treat that wastewater, but at the same time, that material will be degraded after when you just release the pollutants, right? Basically,
Awesome.
that's the big picture of what I'm doing here.
Yeah, and I think the key word is that's the big picture. Obviously, we don't necessarily have time to dive into the very specifics and the very complex research that you are completing with the help of your supervisor as well. But for if you could summarize kind of your research that you're completing with a photo, I believe you have some photos to show us within the Green Processes Research Center, or at least doing a poster presentation. Is that correct?
I couldn't get a photo in the lab
No
because
worries.
obviously we were not. But I have a photo from the poster presentation that we just did this past term in March, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me with the that will be the title of my research.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lignin extraction from tile oil process. From that tile oil process is a process where you obtain some compounds, but at the same time you are having a lot of wastes that are just uh, being burned, right? So we want to add value to those compounds instead of just throwing away or just putting away.
For sure.
Yeah, so this even was the research week that we have uh,
I
last
know
term.
that the Research and Innovation Week that we have annually is quite significant for many of our students, where we have the undergraduate and graduate student poster presentation, the 3-minute thesis presentation, um, and so many other opportunities where we bring in researchers from around Canada, around the world even, to kind of bring their research and have open panel discussions, do presentations, do hands-on experiences. And I know it's quite popular among our students that kind of get an opportunity to explore the different career paths, the different opportunities that are available to them as a current student.
Yeah, it's an opportunity to share your work, right? Probably you have been working for 2 years in that poster, so you need to speak out. You need to share your work, right? Otherwise, it will just be a store in a drawer or a store in a book in the library. The best part of science is that sharing process, right? So here is an opportunity on campus where you can let people from, of course, from the university and from other programs, but you also can share your project with people from Canada, from other parts of the world.
For sure. So I think we covered academics quite intensely there, and I know that many of the things you talked about are going to resonate with science students. Myself, as a business graduate, I think that I kind of have a general knowledge as to the research that you're conducting, but I couldn't ever claim that I'm fully knowledgeable or an expert on that field now. But then moving into kind of the student life and living in Thunder Bay and kind of getting involved in extracurriculars. Can you chat about your living experience and your accommodations? So where you live, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, my first place here was off campus. I live I was renting a basement that is pretty common here. So you rent a basement and you have shared areas with the landlady or the landlord that you're renting, right?
Hmm.
So let's say you share the kitchen and you share the living room, you share probably the entrance. Uh, in my case, I had for my private room, my own restroom and bathroom. So I believe it's a pretty common or pretty standard uh, that part if you are living off campus. And I was living in Algoma and Bay Area,
Hmm.
which is it's a very emblematic place of the city, very walkable city. You have different cafes, shops, and you have small stores, local stores. I remember there was this restaurant called the Hoito,
Hmm.
just one block away from my house, and where you can try some Finnish uh, food from Finland,
Yeah.
basically. Different other places that you can walk around just 2, 3 blocks away from that place.
I'm definitely envious of the fact that you got to live in that area because I know some of those cafes and restaurants are some of my favorite in town. And obviously, like you mentioned, the walkability of that area and also the location with to Lakehead too, and
Oh, yeah,
in
yeah. So
connection to Lakehead, I should say.
let's say you are in a day in the middle of summer and you have like that need to walk. You could even walk. It's probably 25 minutes walking from there to the campus, or you have the option to take the bus.
Mm.
So the bus stop is like 5 minutes away walking, and then the bus trip is could be, I don't know, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, some kind of that. So it's very easy, and you have only one bus to take. So it's not
So
that it's
that's
not a problem at all.
yeah, that's definitely convenient for students, of course, if they would prefer to take the bus or um, if they just don't want to walk. You know, obviously the public transportation in Thunder Bay covers the entire city, but obviously when you're considering living off campus, that's a big portion of where you want to look as to how well connected you are to Lakehead and the campus. So we do have a student who asked, obviously biotechnology is difficult. Yes, I probably could speak for you, Jonathan. I know it can be very difficult. It's an intense program. But she would like to know, is it possible to work and study at the same time to kind of support the fees?
Well, as a graduate student, you are enrolled like a full-time student, and normally that means, especially at PhD level, it could be a little bit different from master. But at PhD level, you are supposed to work only and only in your thesis project. So of course you need to to have your expenses for living, right? So the university there is two different ways. One is that your supervisor give you like a scholarship, and then you work for them. So basically, you are doing research, not exactly of your project, but you are working on your project, and then you are doing other stuff that your supervisor may order to do. That's one option. The other option is the University Lakehead has a program called Graduate Assistantship, where you work to have experience and to gain experience about the teaching that you can do in campus. So there is teaching assistantship, where you are going to be working with other professors in campus, helping him or her to uh, to do the class or to do the course that they are in charge of. Let's say in my case, I was working in a lab, so I have to do marking of the reports. I have to do being in the lab during the lab sessions. So it's like it's a job, just it's very narrow to your area and it's on campus. So of course you receive some kind of payment for that.
For sure, yeah. And then we have another question from a prospect student is what is the minimum temperatures in winters in Thunder Bay? So I just pulled up our stats can. So we always go to the Statistics Canada website to pull all of our weather information to have historical data. And so between December and February, the average daily high is -7. So that's as high as it typically gets. But then it ranges, of course. It can get warmer. It can get definitely colder too. I know that we've also seen -20, -30. And on those days, of course, we work with you to make sure that you dress properly. And then we also have sessions too to how to dress properly for the winter. And we make sure that when you're gearing up for outdoors and whatnot, like getting the proper jacket, getting a hat, scarf, mitts, winter boots, all that sort of stuff, we always recommend our favorite places. One thing that I always like to caution students is they think that they can bring their warmest jacket, for example, from Vietnam, quite a tropical country, or Malaysia, quite a tropical country, and they think they're going to bring their warmest jacket and that will suffice for the winter. We always recommend that if you buy a Canadian winter jacket, they're tried and true. They're built for Canadian winters, and that's exactly what the expertise are for the manufacturer of that clothing brand. So we always recommend that you get your winter gear in town when you actually arrive.
Oh, absolutely. You need to be prepared.
Yeah, and then also speaking about extracurriculars, I know that you've been involved in soccer or in Mexico and many other places, football. And then you've also done the Peer Mentor program and Global Ambassador program. To start off, could you chat about your experience with the soccer/football team?
Yes, I'm part of the Lakehead soccer club, where basically we play against other teams in the area, other local teams, right? So we play in tournaments, and we also have practices weekly. We normally have 2 practices per week and 2 games per week. That's basically how it works. I was able to join the team because during the fall and winter term, there is a tournament called intramural soccer, where anyone in the university, even anyone in the town, can go and join a team or make a team and play. It's a tournament more for fun than really a competition, right? It's more recreative tournament soccer. But there I met there some people that actually was playing in the or was part of the soccer team, the Lakehead club, and they asked me if I wanna go and do tryouts.
Yeah.
I went to the tryouts, and then luckily my coach saw some good aspects on my game, and then after that I joined them. So far I've been with them almost 2 years. Yeah, I joined them just like 2 months after my arrival.
Awesome. And also speaking to that intramural tournament, correct me if I'm wrong, it is a co-ed tournament, so both guys and girls can participate on teams and compete against.
So you
I
all
have
the
quite a
time
few
are
friends.
with guys and girls.
Yeah, I have quite a few friends that definitely they're part of the teams, and they'll say the same thing that you said. It's definitely more meant for just kind of fun and staying connected with your friends, but also expanding and getting an opportunity to expand on your passions for football/soccer.
Yeah.
Also, for students that are looking to potentially join the team itself, could you chat a bit about the tryout experience for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the tryouts are at the beginning of September, so just 2 weeks after the term starts. So you will be seeing some kind of posters or some kind of information about, okay, the trial for the soccer club. Then you go out certain days and you play. You just show your game. You play against others. Coach and and the manager of the team will be there. They will see, they will be looking for maybe in a specific position or maybe to rebuild the team. Then after there were like stages, is the first stage, second stage, third stage, where they are kind of narrowing the number of players. And at the end, they will make that decision. They will send you an email and they will say to you, okay, now you are part, if you decide you are part of the Lakehead soccer club.
Awesome. And then also chatting about another opportunity that you've been involved in is the Peer Mentor program. And I know that when you first arrived on campus, you had a mentor and you were a part of a small group that was being led by that mentor. And then in more recent years, you've been able to give back and be the mentor yourself and lead a new group on campus. So to start off, can you chat about why that group was so important to you, or why that program was so important to you at the beginning?
Yeah, well, that program is really important, I believe, because it's an opportunity to meet people and to have a direct contact with others as you that are newcomers. So probably you will have the same kind of questions, the same kind of doubts, and you will be thinking, okay, I'm not the only one. That one first thing, right? Then you have the after that, like you mentioned, there is like the leader or there is the mentor of your group, where is just another student that has been living here more time than you, is more experienced, so he already passed through that process. So you can ask him. You were talking before about the winter clothes, right? So winter clothes sometimes could be really expensive, or you simply don't have idea which jacket is better for you because you have never had one in your country, right? So you can go with him and ask him, okay, look, what jacket do you recommend, or where place is the best, or I have these two options. Like those kind of questions, even which bus I have to take. You know, normal questions or basic questions that you normally don't go and ask the dean or the student liaison, right? Because just simply is not worth it. Or you maybe prefer to ask directly to a student fellow that
Yeah,
is your peer.
exactly. And I know that peer mentors are obviously meant to be exactly what you're talking about. They're meant to be a go-to resource where you can make a more personal connection. You're asking another fellow student. So um, if for any reason you feel that maybe your question isn't valid or you shouldn't ask it, we're providing that opportunity to then hopefully make you feel comfortable to ask that of another student. I don't want it to sound like we don't encourage that, because absolutely that's what we're here for. We always encourage that if students have any concerns or questions, they connect with an international student advisor to start, or of course one of the many supports or services on campuses if they're familiar with it already and they are confident to kind of go there and start getting that support. Reach out, because that's exactly what we're here for. We don't want there to be any delay in those sorts of questions.
Yeah,
And
and
then
at the end, just to finish with that, at the end, it's a great opportunity to make friends, to make new friends.
for
As a
sure.
matter of fact, my mentor during my when I was a mentee now is one of my best friends in town. So yeah, it's just a great opportunity to develop those links and binds with people in campus
And I think
make
that's a
new
good
friends.
segue into kind of speaking to why it was important for you to also become a mentor after your first year.
Well, I realized how important was for me and how helpful it was for me that chance, that opportunity, right? So I received after that I received some email uh, asking about the application to become a mentor, and I thought, okay, this could be a great opportunity to help other students that could be in the same position that I was before. Um, and it's also for me a great opportunity to meet new people, to meet new cultures, and to be in those really fun activities that they organize. I mean, going to a hockey game for free, going
Yeah.
to Catholic Falls for a free trip, and so on. So yeah,
There's definitely added benefits to being a mentor other than the benefits of meeting new people and just like interacting and kind of expanding your own network
Mm-hmm.
obviously is the value in something that you don't have to pay to do some of these excursions, and you actually get to lead the group. So I'm sure you've already been to Kekabaca Falls. I'm sure that you've done some of these other opportunities, been to a hockey game before, but then to also lead a group there and kind of watch them see it for the first time and do it for the first time is also rewarding within itself
Yeah,
too.
really, really rewarding. Seeing those guys amazed by that falls or by the weather, or yeah, it's just great.
Exactly, yeah. And I know another thing that you've been involved in is the Global Ambassador Program, which is a new program that I helped spearhead at Lakehead. That is a group of current students on campus that are really proud to be here, and they want to help other students get here. So they want to be mentors in that guidance. They want to share their stories. They want to share their pride to be at Lakehead. Um, and so because it's a new program, of course, we're looking at how it's going to continue to grow, how it's going to expand. We'll already have our first group of students graduate out of the program this spring, and we're sad to see them go because even though we were together for a few months, um, we really connected within that group. And then, of course, this fall, though, we'll hope to expand it even further and get new global ambassadors involved too. Another thing I wanted to ask you is kind of, was there a certain moment or experience that you had in Thunder Bay or at Lakehead that really resonated with you to represent, like you knew that you were comfortable here, you had made the right choice in coming to Lakehead, you were excited for the next step of your journey, like a life-changing moment almost.
Yeah, I probably, aside of the professional area and the academic area, right? I really like outdoors activities, as I mentioned at the beginning, and for me, it's important to have that access, right? I don't feel comfortable living in a huge city, let's say like a Mexico City, where you have 20 million people living in the same place. For me, it's a better option to be just a few minutes away of the forest, let's say, of the bush. So I went to a hike to a sleeping giant.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a uh, very well-known place in Thunder Bay and a
It is, yeah.
magnificent place to do hiking. And I went to a couple of friends. We did the long hike that is about 22 kilometers wrong way. Uh, then I realized that I was in the right place. I will show you a picture of that tree.
For sure. And
Yeah.
so,
So
which friends did you give us a preview of who everyone is here?
yeah. So here we have people from different nationalities. This fellow here is a friend of mine. He's from Mexico. He's working here. He graduated from here from Lakehead. And
Mm-hmm.
this guy here is from Germany.
Yeah.
He came here to do a semester, an exchange semester. Uh, this lady here from Mexico as well. She's studying here from Mexico, exchange student, and I'm sorry,
No worries.
from Dominican Republic. These two guys from here are also doing an exchange, and here me. So we went there, and we had this amazing and really tiring uh, hike of 22 kilometers to the top of the giant,
Yes, it's a
and it was
very,
amazing.
very
And it
long
was
hike.
it was during the fall time, so you can see some beautiful, amazing colors, and
Yes,
any like all kinds of yellows, oranges, greens. It's one of my favorites seasons in Thunder Bay for sure.
definitely. I can also relate to that in the fact that the colors changing of the leaves and all that sort of stuff really resembles a classic fall, which you might have seen in, like the movies and whatnot of autumn and all that. And when you get out there, out in the outdoors, and you see those for yourself, it can be breathtaking at points. And I know
Yeah,
that that hike is a very aggressive and ambitious hike, but also
kind of
very
demanding.
rewarding
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. When you get to the top, it's like, okay, I made it. After
Yes,
all the tough software, I made it, and now I'm able to see all those colors. And you have also the view of the lake, so it's just the perfect site.
perfect. So one of the last questions I have for you today before we wrap it up, um, I always like to give my co-host an opportunity to kind of give advice to future students and chat with them directly. So I'll pass it over to you to answer that.
Yeah, probably my first advice is don't be afraid, right? Don't be afraid to come to a new place. Even I get it, could be totally different. Uh, you could came from a tropical country and you are coming in the middle of the winter here in Thunder Bay. But don't be afraid. Eventually, you will get friends. You will get adapted to the place, and you will like it. And we have here all the resources available for us as students at Lakehead. So don't be afraid. I'm very sure that you will enjoy it. You will like this country as much as I do, um, and just came with all the energy possible to enjoy uh, new places and new people and everything.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us and chatting about your experience. I know uh, today we went for almost a full hour, so I'm really happy that we got to dive into so many different topics. And to our viewers, thank you again for joining us. I hope that we were able to shed some light on some of the different opportunities that you can get involved in, both in Thunder Bay as well as Lakehead, as well as the academics and the research that we're doing here. If you have any questions for myself or about Lakehead in general, you can always send us a message on Instagram. Lakehead International is our hashtag or our username, pardon me. Obviously, you can also connect with us via email. Our email is welcome@lakeheadu.ca. Otherwise, I want to thank you once again for joining us. Tomorrow, we'll be doing a live Faculty Friday webinar with the Faculty of Education. We're lucky enough to actually have the Dean of the entire faculty, Dr. Wayne Melville, joining us. So if you are interested in becoming a teacher or pursuing an education degree, I certainly encourage you to join us then to learn about those opportunities. Otherwise, I'll say thanks again and bye for now.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.